Okay, so you've made it this far. We have one more topic to talk about before we even start getting into campaign builds, and that is customer lifetime value, or in this case, patient lifetime value, right? And this is really important because it allows us to be able to look at the numbers and especially cost per click and go, should we even be investing in this, right? So at the end of the day, this advertising has to work for you. It's an investment, right? There has to be an ROI. So when you look at specific keywords in your particular market area, and depending on the market area, there could be urban areas where there's a lot of competition and keywords could be expensive, or if you don't have as much competition, then it's probably, something that's more palatable and it's not a big deal, right? But it still makes sense to look at this number and go, okay, what is a customer, what is a patient worth to your practice? And taking that a step further, breaking it down by service line, okay? Because a lot of times what we do is we create campaigns by service line. So we create campaigns in isolation. For example, with mental health, it could be maybe Spravato is one, or medications could be like one campaign, treatments could be another campaign, TMS could be another campaign, because we isolate them and we want to make sure that we're driving profitability in each of those very distinct areas without muddying the waters, right? So it really helps if you're able to take the time and go through the numbers and figure out, like, what is a patient worth when it comes to somebody who's signing up for TMS, for example. When you know this, you can make really, really smart decisions about what you're willing to spend on a cost per click basis. And I guarantee you that most of your competition is not doing this, right? So it's really, it's a huge advantage to figure out what does a patient represent for each of the service lines, and then you can back into your numbers. In fact, we have a spreadsheet that we use sometimes, a lot of times, for customer viability, right? And we look at conversion rates. So we look at the conversion rate of your advertising. We look at conversion rates of your website, and we go, okay, can this actually work in this particular area or not? And it gives us a nice indicator before we even start building campaigns. Now, we don't do it always. We do it in very competitive areas, or we do it with certain clients that are even outside of mental health, where maybe the price point is not as high, and we don't have as much room to be able to operate within Google Ads. Thankfully, within mental health services, it's not something that we run into a lot. But just jumping back into the topic, you definitely should, if you have the time and if you have the data, try to figure out what a patient is worth by service line, okay? So let's get into this in a bit more detail here. All right, so let's give an example. All right, so here we have a cost per click. These are pretend numbers, but it's just a way to look at this. Okay, so we have a cost per click of perhaps $10, and I've seen it, from $7 all the way up to $30, depending on the market. But in this particular in this particular example, we're going to say we have a cost per click of $10. We're going to say we have a conversion rate of 5%, right? And if you don't know your conversion rate, by the way, you can actually look at your organic conversion rate. So if you have a form on your website, you can actually look at Google Analytics and see, like, how often is that form converting? Your organic traffic that comes in, how often is it converting? And use that number as a baseline. Now, when you think about PPC and keyword-based advertising, it should actually be higher than whatever your organic conversion rate is, because it's very, very laser focused, right? So you're looking in PPC with Google, you're running very specific ads for specific keywords, so your conversion rate should be higher than your organic rate, but at least this will give you a baseline. So let's say, for the pretend numbers here, we have a cost per click of $10, we have a conversion rate of 5%, which means that you would take 20 clicks to get a single conversion. And that just means somebody filling out the form. Okay, so that form goes to somebody in your office. Maybe it goes into a CRM, maybe it goes via email, and then they log it into a CRM, or they put it into a spreadsheet. There's a second conversion that happens after that, right? So we have a conversion that happens with the post-click experience, somebody clicking an ad, filling out a form, but then does that person actually turn into a patient? And that needs to be tracked as well, okay? So just looking at the numbers here, so 20 clicks to get a conversion, which would give you a cost per conversion of $200. Now let's say that because the advertising should be very focused and on point, that 50% of anybody who fills out a form becomes a patient. Well, that means that this isn't your true cost per conversion. If 50% of them convert, then the cost per conversion is really $400, right? When you're armed with the knowledge of what a customer is worth or what a patient is worth, then you can say, hey, I know over time, for this particular service line that my patient lifetime value was $5,000 as a random example. Now, if I'm spending $200 or $400 actually to acquire that patient, then I know I'm okay, right? By a long shot in this particular example. And this gives you such a competitive advantage because there are a lot of the other practices that you will be up against when you're running ads have probably not put in the work. And they might be nervous about a CPC that's $20 or $30, right? That might seem shocking to them because they just haven't done the math. But when you figure it out, it gives you a peace of mind to know that, hey, this is what I'm going to invest in. I'm going to be at the top of the search every single time it happens for these particular keywords, for this particular service line, and I know that it's going to pay off over time, okay? So really, really important understanding what is a patient worth over time. So definitely dig in, try your best to get those numbers, and then it informs everything else from there forward. That's why I wanted to talk about this before we even started building any campaigns. It's that important, all right? Again, if this is too much, we do this all day long. So just let us know. We would be happy to help you build out these campaigns properly. While you're here, if you're getting value out of this channel, please like, subscribe. We're brand new. So I would really, really appreciate it. All right. We're going to see you in the next video. We're going to start building. We're going to do keywords. And that's a lot of fun as well. All right. Coming right up.